Welcome to episode of what is this? 102 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. We're on 102, swiftly moving towards 1,000. Now, I tell all you in some pain, and I tell all you on medication. So for all intents and purposes, this is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to everybody. It's a short week in Trinidad and Tobago. All going on a long weekend foreign, and all had all Memorial Day and thing. All we didn't tell all nothing, you know, so we enjoyed a little short week into our next short week in Trinidad here. Happy Corpus Christi to everybody who's so inclined. Have a little plant, you know. Corpus Christi is when you're supposed to plant something. Or I Whitman, they one of them, a little plant, you know. Don't feel like I'm a little plant with me, you know. All I see is cactus, eh? It ain't supposed to dead, but I'm struggling with it a little bit here. All the plant people, so my guy Mills, I wouldn't first know how to plant plants and things. Anyway, let me get into the thing this week now. Why I supposed to come here and talk about? Now, I supposed to come and talk about certain DJs, you know what I mean? And who man beating woman is not uncommon, and wife horning the husband to wine she's sweet man. Or mine. I supposed to come and talk about that, I don't know. But a man this drama, there's plenty of drama happened this week, right? We're going straight back to that talk we talked last week about the UNC. I think I'm officially now voting for the PDP again. Salute to the People's Democratic, what it stands for, Partnership, Political Democratic Partner. Whatever PDP stand for, what's new, I'm back firmly as a PDP voter. And we had to talk about who's sending female artists, this kind of thing, and you know, who's sending who which pictures on them. We go through everything and finish off the topic last week, because as soon as I finished record last week and say how much I was against Mrs. let me mess up nobody's name, Mrs. Passad Bissessel's very insulting and rude comments. In politics in Trinidad, you're never alone, because the Prime Minister come back with an answer that basically all you had to do as the Prime Minister was do nothing. He did not respond to that. He did not say nothing. But this man make a post there last week that we had to discuss. But before we get into that, this bacchanal about who's sending who pictures. Anyway, you'll get us on YouTube and all the podcasting apps. Tune in radio. Tune in, tell a friend, like, share, subscribe, and all them things, right? But with the bacchanal with who's sending who. So let me fill all in if you don't know what this is about, right? There's a certain producer who allegedly, in his wisdom, apparently is sending pictures of himself. What's a good way to say this? Like flying kite, like beat meat. I don't know what he's call it now. What I'm used to say now, I don't know what he's call it. You know what I mean? But he's not sending pictures, not calling people on video call in full flight, at full attention, 10 hot. You know what I mean? And making sure, you know what I mean? Massaging the muscle. I don't know why he's call it now, but he calling people. So our videos start going around, which was sent to, apparently calling Destra, which was sent to Destra. And Destra wisely covered her camera and had her husband right there showing anything. You go and find on social media for yourself, right? And this started blow up into that thing, because the person who is alleged to have done this in his wisdom, apparently there's a team of people now blaming Trinidad Madman, who... When you hear Trinidad Madman, I don't feel like there's a whole bunch that is outside of the belief of what Trinidad Madman would do and don't do and say and don't say, right? So when I hear the thing come out, I say, well, Trinidad Madman is who calling and pretending to be this producer, but the thing going wrong and wrong in circles, and I don't have a straight answer. I don't think, well, I shouldn't say straight, it's like Ben. I don't have a straight answer as to what, who really doing this and who is to blame and all them things. What I do know is that Trinidad Madman take a calypso that I like a lot. As a man well, you should know by now that I like calypso. And if you listen to this for long enough, that means you like calypso too. Now, the question I asked myself, and maybe this is why I recorded this time and not on a Tuesday. Oh no, it's Tuesday morning, I forget. Is maybe because I've been contemplating whether or not I should hurt your ears by going ahead and playing this song. I'm not sure, you know. A good song. One of the best calypsos, you know me, and the best calypso ever written thing. I find it's one of the best calypsos they ever. I'll give you a sample of what Trinidad Madman saying, right?
Producers in TNT.
Too
dusty.
Yeah.
And the very nasty.
Plenty
DJs using hand.
Right.
Beating the woman by double stand.
What?
Look at next producer calling woman and only using his hand.
What?
And he joking.
Alright, let me get to the real song, because we can't put ourselves through that, right? Oh!
Listen to the steel band beat, hear them rap and something sweet. Listen to the DJ man, making new man shaking bam bam. I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming.
Sing.
Jessica,
Yes.
like you hear the rhythm. Sweet songs coming from the steel drum. All stars and invaders, desperados jamming. And all you saying is you're coming, you're coming, you're coming, you're coming, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Listen to the steel band beat, hear them rap and singing sweet.
Oi! Oi! Now, if you don't know Power, right? Power is a Calypsonian. When he's singing on a stage, the man vibe, you had to follow what he's saying, but Trinidad Madman, you make your own. And you know, Trinidad Madman changed a song that he didn't want to sing to Power and say, come in, it was enough. But I don't know, this generation, they had to crude out everything. And just for the record, right? On this same little 45 or album or LP that have a coming, the next song name is It Hard. Just so that you know, salute to Mighty Power, one of the greatest. One of my favorite Power songs. I will try to find by the end of this episode of one of my favorite songs by Power. The name of the song is Don't Cry Lucy. I'm not sure if it's available on YouTube. It's one of the harder songs to find. But if I find it, I will play it before the end of the episode. And if I can't find it, I will see how much lyrics I remember and see if I could play it on the quattro, right? So I'll hold me to that. But welcome to episode 102. So that's the story behind the producer's, well, alleged producer. I want to be very careful with my words. I don't want no problems. Because, see, DJs and their wives is falling out and all those things, and people putting, it's not enough to send a man a cease and desist letter again, or letter that is part of a pre-action protocol. That is not enough again. Apparently, you had to post your pre-action protocol letter on Instagram. Salute to this new generation. It's the greatest generation they ever invented. They're going to save the world. But man posting the pre-action protocol letter on the IG. I like it a lot. But I just had to give a quick update on how my week went first, right? So you know we had to start there. And I tell all I'll keep all posted as to what is happening on with my foot and otherwise. And I just want to say that based on last week's episode, right? For some reason, last week's episode was shared more than others because the YouTube views was higher than it ever was. And I'm just hoping that while I recorded now, this is not blurry. It seems to be that every time I put a blurry episode, that is when I get the most views, and people probably ain't coming back because of how blurry it is. So give me some feedback as to if this thing clear now. I could only see in one eye. But this week, so I want to tell you that where this Achilles healing process is concerned, I'm having a rough go at it. I'm on my third set of stitches since this operation. So the stitches to close back after the operation, most of them close back. It's like a long incision along your Achilles, right? So if you're watching, picture there's your Achilles here, right? This length of thing, you know, back of your heel up to the back of your, bottom of your calf. And they make an incision all the way along it. But right where in the middle of it, where your Achilles is bent, when you point your foot all the way down, that part keep opening back up and bursting these stitches. So after the surgery, it opened back up. I guess second set of stitches, that opened back up too. And I went Sunday for my third set of stitches, which is the most painful set of stitches I've gotten thus far. It is painful. But I just want to say that as much as I like to give Stacey talk, right, I gotta get credit where credit is due. Nurse Stacy tell me that the big waterproof bandage man putting on my whole foot so that I could bathe and wash the foot. Because the foot smelling like the foot ranking, I'm just being honest. She said that waterproof thing causing problems because it's holding in too much moisture and he needs to change the dressing. So when I see how it was looking heavy one of the days last week, I said, girl, take it off, yes, and see if you could change it. She take it off. It was not looking good, I'll be honest with you. It wasn't looking good. It was looking like thing to worry about. So we take a picture, we send the doctor, and he changed it. So when we gone back by him now Sunday to do these new... Well, I didn't know his stitches until I get there, right? But he done have Stacey down as the apprentice, right? Because last week she said she want to be in the room and she want to see everything. And When he check and he say, all right, it's looking much better than it was before, man. He said the apprentice made the right decision to change from this waterproof bandage. I like that. The apprentice getting real credit. This is from the surgeon himself, Dr. Sergey. And then he went on to say that he think he taken all the wedges. So if you ever walk in high heels, that's how I was in the boot for a long time, right? And if you ever walk in high heels, ask yourself why, somehow, right? But your foot, my heel up in the air, because there were 3 or 4 wedges on it. And the apprentice, Nurse Stacy, was saying that she feel that is part of the reason why the center ain't closing back good, because the Achilles bend and the back of. She say if it's straightened out, the whole seam of the thing was where the incision will stay together. Well, so boy, the woman was right. The woman was 100% right, because the doctors take out all the wedges, so I'm now walking flat. It was still in the boot, but my foot flat on the ground now. And I want to tell you that was a little scary, because since this injury happened 3 weeks ago, my foot has been in that high heels position, right? And think of it, as he cuts out, when he make the cut, he really sew the burst Achilles back together. So it's kind of tight and short, right? And then that man just basically, well, what we're supposed to do is take out one of the little wedges every week. There's about 3 or 4 wedges in there, and gradually stretch out the Achilles. But he said, boy, he said we need to work on this incision and make sure this heals. So I think we had to put it flat. That man take out all the wedges and push back my foot. That man just make a push. It's only pride make me ball out in that place, because it feel like the Achilles was going to snap again. But salute Dr. Sergey and the apprentice, Stacy. They know what they're doing. And it's feeling so far so good. Now, I'm telling you this. I'm recording this on Wednesday night. I'm giving all my business as to when I record until we get back to our regular recording schedule, right? So it's Corpus Christi in this country would be, by the time you're listening to this, I publish on Thursday morning. I will be back by Sergey again. So good news is that I go in Thursday, which means I should be recovered from whatever pain I in by Tuesday, so we could be back to our Tuesday schedule. The bad news is between Thursday and Sunday and Monday, or Monday also being a holiday, and Friday nobody ain't going to work. And for salute all the Father's Day is Sunday. All you know is that how much content going to come, right? Because politician, criminal, bacchanalists, everybody does rest when it comes to long weekends like these. So it's not nothing to talk about next week, but I will be here. Don't worry yourself, I will be here. But that's how it went, and I went by Sergey. I get my stitches back on and all that. Now, what would have caused me to go back by Sergey and why this thing was looking heavy is the exact reason why I am now back firmly in the PDP camp. Now, I wish I could stand up and show you this thing, but I ain't sure I have one underneath this table. So let me just stand up. But last week, I had I thought a little work getting my beaten these days, right? And I thought it was just one client, because we have plenty of work to do to get our client right, and we're doing the work. But we have our next client now where it's supposed to be smooth, you know what I mean? We doing a great job for them. They can't wait for us to work with them again. And they went through a new, should I be saying all this here? But they went through a new bid cycle, right, for tendering. And when they do those things, you usually have to provide some documents from nice places, friendly guys at the Board of Inland Revenue. Salute to everybody at the Board of Inland Revenue. Such a lovely place, such a great place to be. So with this bid in mind, I had to go down to BIR and collect some documents, right? And we had some work to do to get these documents. I hope I ain't disclosing too much here. And I decide, because this thing already late or at last minute on our end, no fault to the client, I decided I'm going for myself. Now, at this point, my foot ain't feeling no sort of pain and feeling good. At that point, I was still walking in the boot every day, right? So, salute to my guy, Uncle Porgy. Uncle Porgy come and pick me up, and we drive up to BIR. And when I reach BIR, now keep in mind that I in this walking boot, right? The boot is up to my knee. If you didn't see it last week, I should show you it again. Don't judge me. This is what the boot look like, right? A matter of fact, wait, I have on the right attire for this story, actually. So the boot going all the way up to under my knee, right? And of course, with the boot on 24/7, and I stop, and I'm not wetting the foot again. So I have a thing they call a foot condom. You have to see this thing, a leg condom, I should say. Anybody who have any foot injury, or they check me now, because a real thing for foot injury now. The way this is work is you're pulling the thing all the way over the boot and all the way up your leg, and you could go and bathe, and your foot and nothing ain't getting wet under there. Then once it's under that, it's sealing off like on your thigh, and nothing ain't getting wet. So that's real McCoy. So anyway, I had to go BIR now, and I can't take off this boot. So I'm going up the road with my short pants and I have a shoe on one foot and the boot on the next foot. But I tell myself, they couldn't be so unreasonable in BIR that they could see me walking in. And it's as Trini, we know trick too. So I walk my crutches and everything. If you see how slow walking, I'm walking like that. If I could go backward. And I really had to walk slow because it's a good walk from Richmond Street all the way to the front of the building by Ministry of Finance by BIR. And then to go upstairs. Well, security greet me by the front and say, nah, you cannot come inside in short pants. I say, well, boss, I can't put on a long pants, The reason I have on a short pants is because the boot is obviously on my foot. And what am I going to do? I can't take this off. He said, well, you can't come in that. It don't matter. Let me talk to the thing. And he got to go and talk to somebody to let me in this, right? When the person come out to me now, they come with a sticky pad and a pen. I'm grateful for it. Let me say that up front. But she come with a sticky pad and a pen to find out what I come to do. And who I come to see. I say, well, I didn't come to see nobody. I want to go to BIR, have these documents to thing. I want to follow up on it. I apply for it in South, but it's a matter of coming down and all the story. This is me sitting down on the, what is called a culvert outside the steps by Ministry of Finance, right? This is in Trinidad and Tobago in 2022, right? Just keep that in mind. And the woman is telling me basically that it's not just the short pants. Can't tell her, I say, but I can't wear. So what you will do if somebody cannot wear the long pants? I know what we want to do, get big pants to put over this? Like what is we selling people by licensing or renting our pants? She said, no, it's not just the pants. You have on slippers. Well, I said, no, look, I have on a shoe. You know what they call in the slipper? The boot is what they call in the slipper because with the boot, the toes out. I wonder if I could show you without damaging myself. Boy. Hey. I hope you can see that. The toes hanging out the front of the boot, right? And then people tell me, you have on a slipper. Your toes can't be out. Now, mind you, I seen women walking in open-toe shoes, flat shoe like sandals, and walking in and out. This is employees, I'm assuming, right? But the public, you can't come in. And I'm trying to figure out, but in what world? I say, but listen, nobody in using the discretion because this is clearly an injury. I say, surgery, I can't just take off the boot and put on a long pants under doctor's orders. What you do in a situation like this for people who can't get through? And she say, they can't use the discretion. She says somebody up here is make the decisions and they have to just enforce the decisions. So I sit down out there and I told her what I needed. She went, she take my phone number and the woman from NBIR upstairs called me on my phone. We talked through everything. She told me, okay, this is where you need to provide. This is where you need to do that. We talked through everything. And then she came downstairs to bring a letter for me. And now I say down there for must be 2 to 3 hours, right? Now think of my foot being in this hanging position. I usually do a podcast for 2 hours, which I want to do for everybody who listening. And I'm cutting it back now because I don't want to sit down with my foot hanging down. I don't stop, I don't edit, I don't do nothing. I just try and finish it and put it out, right? But I had to sit down in BR for 3 hours while I wait for her to do everything over the phone, and then she dropped the document downstairs and hand me. This is the first time I see the lady. And I tell her, a young, nice girl, salute to Miss Harry in BIR, right? And salute to, I don't know the lady's name at reception. I wish I knew her name so I could salute to her too, but she was so helpful because they didn't want to do that neither. They could have just Mark here come inside and leave me out. And I had to come back the next day, but they facilitate the phone call thing. And I tell Miss Harry, young girl, this girl's 20 little bit. And I say, but miss, it's so funny. If I had called y'all and asked if I could do all this over the phone, y'all would have said no. You can't do it over the phone, you must come in. But when I hear, we talk and do all the things over the phone, and if I'd ask her if I could stay on the phone, do it, and send a courier to pick it up, you would have said no. And she say, yeah, we can't do that. I said, but this is exactly what you just do. So it's so strange. So this the next day now, I decided, all right, I'll put on a long pants, I'll take off the boot. Put on the long pants. Put the boot over the long pants, which I don't want to do. I either understand that I have the same thing I tell you about the incision just now. A long pants resting against the back of that incision is not a happy feeling for me. But anyway, I do it because I had to do it, right? I went back the day. I realized the crutches ain't making a difference and I walked. That was a big mistake. I really didn't envision having to be there for that length of time because when I reached there, I must reach about 10:30. The person was not at her desk. By the time they got on her at 11, she was going for lunch. I had to sit down there and wait from 10:30 to 12, a little after 12. She tried to come back just before. I say, Miss Harry, And I tell her, I say, well, listen, I'm waiting here a while at downstairs in a room that is ice cold. Also not very good for my foot. So I'm in some pain now. What's happened is my foot start feeling heavy before you feel pain. It just start to get real weighty. And I'm not sure if it's swelling. I don't be sure. I'm worried about it because now I'm sitting down there for a long time. I getting hungry, I getting tired. She come down, she get the documents. I brought back everything she needed to get. And mind you, the things that I brought back on a Friday, every single one of those documents I had emailed to her. And she told me, well, I need to print them out and get the company stamp. And it's just so much of this kind of thing going on still. I went and I do that and I sit down there from about 10:30 and I must leave BIR about 2 o'clock. Salute to the security and everything there and people I know who doing their job and everything. I ain't no knock on nobody. But I was told I can't put my foot up on a chair because I want to elevate my foot a little bit to give myself some hope. They say I can't do that. I had to go and pay $100. I had to walk across the building, which feel like 2 miles to me. After sitting down there so long, I just had to pay the $100 and walk back right there and wait for her to come downstairs and give me the receipt. Mind you, while I was there for all those hours, I only saw her twice for the sum total of about 5 minutes. So again, all of it we could have do over the phone. I telling her, but I could have sent these same documents with the same podgy that carried up the road for me. And I could have stayed home on the phone. And you know, I losing my smartmanship going through the window because what I really should have do is call her and tell her downstairs. And I outside again because they implement short pants and let her do everything that she do. And when she reach outside, I just let podgy handle the documents. But my smart man days like they're wrapping up. But that's the situation. So this is why I am voting for the PDP. Because keep in mind that the PDP in Tobago, as soon as they get in power, salute my guy Farley Augustine and Watson Duke by extension and everybody in the PDP, because one of the first things that they did, some people say the only thing that they did, is remove this thing where it have this dress code for public places, where you can't wear short pants and you can't wear a thing, and if you're not slipper and if you're not sleeveless. And listen, people coming to do the government business, which they're paying to be done through the taxes that we pay. 25% of my income goes there. 25% of the company profit goes there. About 2.5% of the company revenue. Come on. It's a simple thing. It's business we had to do. Nobody ain't coming to make things bad and are coming with an injury that is publicly is visible. So what's happened to people who have challenges or who differently abled or whatever the situations might be? But hey, that's BIR for your money. Salute to everybody in BIR. All are extremely helpful. And I get my documents, so I'm supposed to be in the game, right? But I also want to say, having gone in tongue, before we get into some of these issues, right? Having gone in tongue, I have a lot of faith in Trinidad and Tobago again. Trinidad and Tobago is a nice country. Salute to everybody from Trinidad and Tobago. This place is sweet, and I don't think nothing could change that. I want to tell you that when you have a boot or crutches in tongue, you make the most amount of friends. I see a young girl, who Stacey like to call them all the girls, right? She would walking down to the corner of Richmond Street, almost down by Unitrust. Well, I think it's still Unitrust down there. She almost, that's Richmond Street? Whatever street that is, down by Unitrust, big building. And I stand up by the side of the road now, kind of by the drain, because I'm waiting for Podgy to come down the road, but I don't want him to have to pull aside or stop any traffic too long. I want to just dive in the car as he reach now. So I'm timing it. And I'm watching this step over by the drain. I ain't so good with the crutches yet. So I tell myself there's a kind of jump and I ain't falling in this drain here today. And as I adjusted myself now to stay on the side of the road, one of them other girls, nails and she in full work clothes, but the nails and what is called these things, the lashes, and she ordered. She say, hi, you want to help you? See, you're looking to help. I started thinking to myself, but you was never coming and talk to me if I didn't have this boot on my foot. If I was a normal looking man, and I'm looking to cross over a drain, nobody ain't trying to give me, especially she ain't coming. And she'd say, no, all me want to say, yes, you want to come and rub my foot for me, but so much of pain. But I say, you know what I mean, like, you knew me would never do anything like that, you know what I mean? So another woman now was looking for something to eat because that day I stayed from the second day I stayed was from 10:30 to about 2. I come out there hungry. I could eat anything they put in front of me. So I come out really looking around now to see, well, okay, which part here have food? I see a little cafe looking place. If you know, downstairs by the parkade, they have a lot of food places too. So I kind of looking, and I'm watching the corner, my woman almost shadowing me. When I watch her, She said, oh God, we want to help you, but you're trying to come off the pavement. Wait, I said, no, miss, I'm good. I said, I'm looking like I'm good. She said, looking like you're frightened to step. I said, no, I'm good. I said, I make this step now, I'm going across the road. Like, she's still uneasy. She says, son, what are you looking for? What you need help? I say, it's food I'm looking for. Somewhere where I could sit down and eat. Somewhere we ain't going to make no fuss if I pop my foot. And she guide me and tell me, listen, go down, so ask for so, you know what I mean? So Trinidad is still the old Trinidad that we know, despite the things that happen that might make it look otherwise. You know, that was a nice feeling to see so much people, random people coming to tell me about their injuries too. A man who you know have no football in him, tell me, you have to put that up, you know, in my old football days, I think, you have no football days, so. But it was a refreshing feeling to see how willing people are to help. I just wish we would transfer that sentiment and that way of living to everything that we do, you know what I mean? Treat one another nice and help one another and so on. So what's a go to next? That's me. That's my weekend review, right? Salute to me. You know, I want to just go back to this thing with my girl KPB for a second. KPB. Right, that's right, right? KSPB. So instead of just ignoring these statements by this woman, or basically coming out and say, like I was saying outright that was an insulting statement, and I reiterated that nobody would come to my face and say that. And I even heard people, I was listening to my guys, Judan Naldo, on APP 868. Alternative Perspective Podcast 868, saying that they completely unbothered by it. And that's cool too. I understand their sentiments. So they were both saying that, listen, why give anybody the power over you where they could use words that will fluster you or rustle up your day and so on. And I hear that. I could understand why there would be people who would be offended by it or feel insulted like myself, or people who would be basically like, hey, it's a fact, I don't really care, it don't matter what you say about me, sticks and stones kind of thing. And there might be people who are ambivalent, who that just neither here nor there. And I appreciate that all of us will have different perspectives on these things. My difficulty lies when you making statements like that and then coming to ask me for a vote and pretend like if only like people. But that's politicians on a whole, right? And I would think that the Prime Minister himself, would have find some kind of way to land on any one of them areas on the spectrum. Either land with Naldo and them say with the hate and the find she was clearly looking to insult, but they don't care. Or they don't care what she say at all, and they expect what she would say, and they say anything come to their mind. Or, hey, I don't like what you say, and this one. Instead of doing that, this man had to make a tweet. Boy, listen, the politicians is the best at have, yes? This man take a tweet. If you remember Roots with the Kunta Kinte scene.
I'd love to hear you say your name.
This is what your name is Toby. This is what Rowlers took as a tweet to say this is how we got our names, right? If you don't remember this scene, I'm playing it in the background here. It's a scene where a man was tied up by his hands, you know what I mean? Hanging by his hands, and the white man trying to get him to accept the name Toby, along with other maybe elders who were looking at it and saying basically that, hey, just say Toby so we could get this over with before he kill you with licks. You know what I mean? And every time he asks him what he is, he keeps saying his name as Kunta Kinte. And eventually, with enough lashes, enough strokes, enough licks, enough being put close to death, he eventually accepts the name Toby. Now again, this is so similar to the statement that she would have made, in my opinion, because it's inflammatory. And I find it unnecessary. And I feel like it's insulting to that. It's okay. We know this story. So there's another one of them things. And maybe I had to listen to Naldo and them a little more about how not to be sensitive about some things. But these things just bother me. Because the history of our names is so crude and how we end up with them. And the difficulty we have with identifying names that we should pick up or take is so crude that call me one of them people who like to stay behind blinders. No, I find it's just one of those things that if we discuss it, we have to be careful about how we discussing it, or just don't discuss it at all. If it's to be used as a pawn or a weapon or a defense or anything like that, I don't like it. I just feel uncomfortable about it. That should never be weaponized or be made to be defended, or nobody should see that as some reason that we could put forward a defense as to how you call it. I just find it was unnecessary. And in true form of our politicians, up to today, neither SPB or Keith Augustus moving Rowley, neither of them find like this is something to apologize about. Rowley come out and say, hey, I stand by my tweet. It was this. This is how we get our name. He stand by it. All right, you stand by it. It's fact. That is cool. And Kamala, I don't know if she said anything, to be honest with you. I keep listening for when she will address it, but she ain't addressing it. She seemed to be using a lot of other people to address it. So if you look at the sentiments or the words coming out from other party members or other alliance members, like I was telling you about the Starbucks thing last week, there seemed to be a big push to say, don't be distracted. You know what I mean? Like my boy Mario was saying last week. That seemed to be the rhetoric and the thing that we're running with. You're going to say, don't be distracted by PNM. Think PNM still this, that, and the third. And to be honest with you, both sides work. It's kind of make me wonder if these people is work together, you know. If she was taking too much flack for it and she called and she say, hey, Keith, here what? I talk a little while. They had luck there. I didn't mean to talk so wild. What you gonna do for my boy? He say, here I go do. I go find a roots thing and I go post that. And then people go get mad and people go support that and them kind of thing. And then here I do. Well, let's start up somebody attorney general now. I go send he foreign and everybody will forget. So regardless of where all of us start off, we all end up by the Fellas on the Alternative Perspective podcast where without even a good week going, nobody cares about ISU again. So, I mean, salute to them fellas. Maybe I should start not caring about these things. So that's where it is. I'm hoping that we get to some kind of politics where the actual issue could get discussed. Because again, I'm going back to the fact that the actual issue was the children in the homes and the issues that they're facing and the fact that predators are running these homes and predators getting access to children in these homes. That will seem to be a big issue. And on the topic of children too, I'm looking at this thing. Now, salute to my girl Natalie Carruth, right? Natalie messaged me. Natalie is a long time listener to this podcast. So she probably listened to all 100 of these episodes. And there is very few times that Natalie has ever reached out to me to say, this was good, this was bad, why I ain't talk about this, how I ain't talk about that. She's just usually say, boy, thanks, I enjoy the podcast so much. I think the calypso she just like the vibe, right? Salute to Natalie. And the one time Natalie reached out to me is about a topic that I've been avoiding for the longest while. She texts me and say, hey, I'm waiting to hear what you're saying about these school fights. And that is not like her. So for her to text me to say that, I know it's something that she's passionate about and she's feeling a way about. I in the same boat to extent because I don't like to see it. And I remember somebody when schools were closed, somebody was saying, wait till school open back or you'll see how much fight. That is not something I think I understand very well. And I was hearing people saying that and I was wondering like, what is that really about? Like, why would there be a whole bunch of school fights just because school reopened? It's like all was doing online school and all those things. But I think there's a psychologist that I saw on CNC3. Now, without any bunch of permission, but giving all the credit to CNC3, I want to play a clip where they're talking to a child psychologist about his input as to why all these fights come about. Take this in for me.
According to Education Minister Dr. Nyan Gadsby-Dolly, many of these incidents are some students' attempt at fame. But according to child psychologist, former school teacher and guidance counselor Gregory Isaacs, it's much more than that. He says it's a symptom of the pandemic. He says not only did children lose 2 years of socialization because of it, but they were also subjected to hardships within their households.
So children were at home in pressured environments, traumatic environments, and they came back out of school some weeks ago and expected to function normally.
It's also why he does not agree with the decision to expel the female student from the Williamsville Secondary School who allegedly stabbed a schoolmate. His comment comes as there are numerous reports that the incident was a retaliation to bullying.
She reached her breaking point. What was the response when she first reported the bullying before? What was the response from the principal, the guidance officer, whoever in the school system at the time? Was there any kind of response to treat the child?
Now, Isaacs is not the only one who thinks this was the wrong move or that there is more to look at when it comes to school violence.
What is it?
All right, so after that, they really just went to talk to some people on the street, right? I don't know how random the people on the street they talked to was because some of these people looking like familiar faces. But anyway, so you hear, nobody, my name is Gregory Isaacs, right? Just salute that for a minute. Let me not just pretend that never happened. But child psychologist Gregory Isaacs was talking about it and basically saying, so Nyan Gatsby Dolly saying is about fame. I was thinking that maybe it's them wanting to make a moment, the idea of a viral moment and stuff. But maybe I'm going back to my time in school, and I kind of know trouble from trouble. I know what was big trouble and what was problems. Like if you and a man fight in school, that could settle right there with licks or detention or whatever it is. That is either Fatima or Tranquil where I do A levels. But if it's a big brawl in the road and people involved and police and people, parents and things, I was going to distance myself from that as fast as I get smaller. I used to do like this and disappear, like just. Because I not going to get locked up, and I never like them kind of big trouble. I like small trouble, you know what I mean? But so the idea of them looking for fame, I'm wondering, like, they willing to push it this far where they could get suspended and expelled from school or what going on. But I understand what Gregory Isaacs talking about, the lack of socialization. Because in that socialization, you will learn to make friends. What is happening when you lose a friend? What is happening when somebody you thought your friend no more? How to settle disputes? You know what I mean? I always used to think about it like if in these years, these children, like how are you going to track? You have to track and get blank and thing a few times, and be accustomed to that. And my father always used to tell me, he say go and get horn when you're young. He said, because when you're way too old to get horn, you're walking around town with one hand on your head and one hand on your bottom. You're lost. You know what's going on around here. So I was worried about these youths in terms of how they would socialize, and I was judging my son going back out to school as a marker for that because he seemed to be okay with the same friends that he had online. They were playing together well. Every now and again, they block one another and think these youths like big people. I block him because he talked to me nice. And now I'm not talking to him no more because he have me blocked out. And they seem to be figuring out how to sort out the issues because I never thought of them lacking socialization. I always say this young generation, they're much more social than we were. We see ourselves as real socialites, right? Because we know one another, we just talk to one another face to face, we hug and shake hands, and we went through all that. And we see them as less social because they're always on their phone. But I always say they're more social than us. They know more people in the world. They stay in more contact than us. I have a little sister, she's 20 a little bit. And when you go by her, she on the phone with her friends whole day. Them don't hang up. You remember when we used to charge by the minute to be on the phone? All you remember is a line up by payphones to go and talk to them, man. But them days done. Everybody, she just basically on the phone with them, video call whole day. They're doing other things, they're studying every now and again. The person say, they know. Yeah. And they have hours passing that they're not talking, but they don't come off the phone. So I find like they're well socialized. But I understand where Gregory Isaacs coming from because the frustration of being home, the lack of socialization in a face-to-face setting and how to deal with things where the words you say now could result in a little knuckle sandwich, as they would say, a little 1-2. And when you hit somebody a 1-2, they could hit you back to 3, 4, 5, 6, and you ain't see it coming. Is the real world you're back in? Coupled with the fact that the environment in some of these homes might not have been the greatest, is I think he almost saying, and not to put words in his mouth, but he almost saying like, hey, we put these children in a bad situation. We come off of COVID and we throw them in expecting them to be able to cope. I don't know how much people like Gregory Isaacs would have been made available for children who coming back out of the school environment after having been home for 2 years in a pandemic. Maybe who would have been doing well in school but not doing so good again after the online thing because home is not what home should be. Or children who never really socialized. So you went to secondary school but you never start until form 2 or 3. So friendships made online, and then when you reach the person is the person who they thought there was, and people who from the same area clicked together and all those things. Now, was there any effort to help these children psychologically through this major transition that they're doing, like guidance counselors, psychologists like Gregory Isaacs, families in action, like who used to come and intervene in these schools and help children, at least help them with somebody to talk to, so a different way to see the world? I'm not sure how much of that was done. So I understood when Natalie was coming out to me to talk about the school fights and things, because it's not a nice thing to see. You see any school children fighting in grap, as we used to say a long time, is squad fighting. It's not just one person fighting the next person. You see now plainclothes people, which I'd assume is people's sister, people's mother, they come and they're fighting for them, or friends who not in the school coming and fight. The fights spilling out into the streets as well, where people had to be intervening. Even before I get to that, let me talk about these parents now, because that seemed to be a thing going on these days where parents are reprimanding children. So I saw some time ago a guy who coincidentally this week get charged with assault for slapping up a schoolboy And the reason behind it apparently is the schoolboy do something with his daughter and all them kind of things. So he decided, and I thinking, boy, you going to put your hands on people's children. That's a bad idea. You know who's this man, father or brothers or mother, or how they will take this kind of thing? And I understand how upset you're going to be if feeling like somebody taking advantage of your child or encouraging your child in slackness, or they're accusing the little boy going as far as saying he sexually assaulted the girl. But listen, that can't be the way, no. That can't be the way. It still have a police station and a report and a school and a principal and all those things to go through. But I mean, as some people on social media support it by saying, listen, that's your daughter and you have to defend your daughter, so you go and you hit him some slap and take a jail. No problem with that, right? But again, the cycle continues, because if you go and make jail now, what's the household like for that daughter you was trying to protect? How much you're going to be able to protect her now when you're behind bars, when she's getting older and bigger bouts of advantage coming at her now in life, and you might be away because you decide to take that into your own hands. Or a mother last week on the promenade who I see, well, she beating her child with a belt on the promenade. I was afraid that bad, and I say, oh, my mother will catch me somewhere and beat me in the public. But she decided to put some lash on the girl too. Like the boy studying girls and then studying the work. Boy, she like, what's some belt on the girl? And I thinking, this is not a good idea. I understand the passions and so on and raising your children, but this is my theory too. Don't ever feel like I'm talking from any kind of expertise. I just be talking about my theories and my opinion and the way I feel about it. I always feel that if it come down to you having to beat your child with a belt on the promenade, I feel it had some work you didn't put in as a parent in the younger days, and it had something was missing. But I probably wrong about that. Who knows? But where the school fight's concerned now, people in a brawl, and this particular situation that Gregory Isaac's talking about with the little girl is the same question that I had. Okay, she stabbed the girl and cut the girl. Listen, it was gruesome. That's why I mean, I looking at this little situation I going through here with having to get stitches, and I just be like, listen, I just squirm up like a child when that man doing stitches in the back of my ankle kind of way. Imagine having to get on your face, or gosh, we had to get skin graft, or boy, listen, that is not a nice thing. Nobody do. Or put yourself in that parent's shoes that you send your child to school, you pack their bag, you organize their lunch kit, you get them a little money to go to school, you take a little picture and thing, you know what I mean? Your child in school and you in work, or worse again, you in BIR fighting up to get documents and going about your day like normal to get a call to say, hey, hurry up and go in the hospital. Your daughter gets stabbed. It's like, what? Yeah, that's crazy to think about. And there's nothing that's going to take away from the fact that that girl is a victim, because to get stabbed up like that and your face cut, that's life-changing. That's something that's going to be traumatic that you're never going to forget. But we hear stories now that the girl is saying that is as a result of bullying, and as Gregory Isaac say, the girl was taken advantage of. She reached a breaking point and she fly off the handle emotionally. This is a little child. We on social media backing parents flying off the handle and slapping up a young boy, or a mother flying off the handle and beating other people's children on the promenade. You must understand a little child who was home for 2 years and not in the most what I'm trying to say, like they're home for 2 years and they're not coming out of a situation where they were socializing a lot and now they're thrown in the lion's den kind of thing. You must understand that child herself could snap. You're getting bullied and you're getting taken advantage of, and a lot of that you could do online and deflect and say things and ignore, but when it's in your face now and people laughing at you and you dealing with that, you come with a kitchen knife and you stab up this girl and you fly off the handle. So she expelled. And my question was not necessarily to defend what she did or to say that they shouldn't expel her. My question is more so, what happens to her now? Because I hear the parents and she was saying, and she would end up going to court and get charged and all that. And the parents saying like they only hearing one side of the story and those types of things. I understand that. I wish we would hear more from her or mother, but I suppose if they in court, that might be a good idea. But I want to find out, okay, so when a child does something terrible, stab another child, right? Regardless of what the reason might be, and you get expelled, what then happens to you? Is it that your parents just left to pay for schooling? And suppose they can't afford to pay for schooling for you, or suppose the private schools don't want to take you because you're a stabber. They want to stab her in the premises, you understand? We don't want you. What's supposed to happen to you now? Let me say that child is 13 years old. You have at least 2-3 years more of secondary school plus A levels to do still secondary school, right? and then you want a university education, or you want to go and get a job, or whatever might be ahead of you. What becomes of that? What becomes of all the work you put in from Form 1 to Form 3 to get to this point where you are working towards your CXC and your passes? What happens when you become adults? You get a job, or you're still a stabber? Like, people forget that, like how they forget what Kamala say and they forget what Rolly do. You're a stabber now, but you can't put that on your resume, but you got to explain what happened between 2022 and 2025. You wasn't working, you wasn't home, you wasn't in school. Like, what's the situation? Where you was? You just, according to Chris Rock, you're just a stabbing fool. I don't know. I think these questions we have to try and answer as a society, because we tend to feel like, if, is likened, in my opinion, to cancel culture, where you just say, all right, well, get rid of you. You're no longer part of society. You're expelled. We put you in jail. You get 2-3 years or 5 years or whatever. And when you come out, there's no effort to rehabilitate, no effort to understand, okay, while we don't condone this behavior, we want to understand this behavior. Because if the powers that be had take the advice from Natalie that she was asking me to talk about it, maybe they would have been talking about that a little more and try to say, okay, well, let's not just suspend and beat all these children who fighting. Let me go and talk to the first big brawl. Let me get them all in a room and let them vent. Let me hear what the problems are, like what lead into these big set of fights, how they getting settled, why they feel fighting is the only way, how it end up in the road. Like, talk to them. Don't talk to no teacher. Don't talk to talk to them too, right? But talk to the children and get their first-hand account as to why they, and tell them, listen, you're not in no trouble. We're nothing. You don't get your licks. You don't get your suspension. What we want to know now is, where's the issue? Because if you find more of that out, then you might be able to apply some of these things to the other schools so that they have less of those situations. But we have a real reactive nature, Our response from the ministry and the people who are in power seems to be more so, let me find a way to get those troublemakers out of the school. Let me get them expelled and let them stay home and do what they want to do, because they will all of a sudden stop having that mentality when we get them out of the school system. And somehow they're outside of the society, right? So we're going to never bounce them back up again later in life when they now make a mistake that caused them to be expelled from school, can't get a job and thing. Maybe they'll just reform on their own. They'll find Jesus. They'll find God. And when they find God, that'll be it, right? The other way we're reactive is that, okay, instead of finding out what's the problem, help people to not want to do this. Let you put police in all the school. Let you put police. You know what I mean? Just get police, so when the police thing and they could shoot them. See you shoot. Just spare a moment for the man by John Dee. I don't know the story, because me know it is happened by John Dee, but I don't want to get in the way of the Trinidad and Tobago police service no more. According to Trinidad man mad, you see the TTPS police? I don't want to be wanted by the TTPS police. These people shooting straight. I don't know if I listen to that video. I ain't showing it, right? But the reaction in the school now is, hey, put police everywhere. So now police have to go by a school every day to wait for a fight to break out, to spray up the school or whatever it is doing fight break out. I'm like, dude, we could also talk to the children. And me and saying don't put police if they think outrageous, But spend a little time, understand from the children. They have a story to tell, and according to Gregory Isaacs, they have their reasons for why they're doing what they do, and they might be legitimate reasons. So if we could get to the core, if we get to the cause and not treat these symptoms all the time, maybe we'll get rid of the cold. But I mean, in good faith, given that between Stacey and Gregory Isaacs, I got to play this song, you know what I mean? It's only fair.
Tell her try your best just to make it quick. Come and tend to the sick. Cause there must be something she can do. This heart is broken in two. Tell her it's a case of emergency. There's a patient by the name of Gregory. Night nurse, only you alone can quench this your thirst. My night nurse, oh gosh, oh the pain is getting worse.
need attendance from minors around the clock.
Cause there's no prescription for me.
She's the one, the only remedy.
Night nurse, only you alone can quench this your thirst. My night nurse.
Oh, the pain is getting worse. Never truer words have been spoken. The pain is getting worse. I nearly done it. I'm for hurting. But more on the children, right? I saw this coming out of St. Francois. This is by Dunstan Bond from the Express. This is the Express? Yeah, this is the Express. Why are the phones of pupils being searched, right? I wonder what Gregory Isaacs would have to say about this. So they basically, a story coming out of St. Francois here, that's saying that the parents upset, or people upset in general, but the parents in particular, where they're sending the children to school with phones. Keep in mind, St. Francois is a secondary school. I salute my mother. I'm a mother's school. They're bad like yas in there, apparently. But the parents now, the teachers, searching the children's phones while they're in school. And the parents seem to be unhappy. And I mean, when you watch social media reaction, you know you get a lot of agreement. So social media is a good place to watch people ventilate any kind of argument. Anything that have out there, people seem to be able to argue both sides, just like what we're trying to do on this podcast. But I'm going to Dunstan Bunyan. The article says, it's a totally inappropriate and distasteful invasion of privacy. That is how one parent described the searching of image and video content on the mobile phones of students by the staff at St. Francois Girls College in Belmont. Speaking last week with the Express on the condition of anonymity, the parent said his daughter came home from school on last Wednesday and told her mother that she's afraid to go to school with her phone because the teachers are not only taking the cell phones, but they were forcing random students to open their phones so that they could go through the image and video content on the phones. He said when he found out, he told his daughter he didn't have a problem with them taking the phone away in the morning and returning it at the end of the school day. However, the extent of forcing a child to unlock their phone and taking the phone from the child and going through all the content on the phone, he certainly has a problem with that. The parent said that while he understood that the school is trying to protect its image, following some of the students having images of themselves in school uniform ending up on social media, they are going about it in a high-handed manner, which is wrong. Apparently, they're threatening to suspend anyone who has photographs of themselves in uniform on their phone. He said the purpose of his daughter having a mobile phone at school is for him and his wife to be able to contact her and ensure everything is going well during the course of the day, especially when school is dismissed. But now she's afraid that she has photos of herself in her uniform, which she would have taken at home. Sorry, let me don't laugh. I'm going to get through this whole article. I don't want to laugh, right? I find it's a total invasion of privacy and very inappropriate. Even the police have to get a warrant to search someone's phone, the parent said. Remember, these are young girls and they have parents who should be the ones to ensure they don't have appropriate content on their phones. But the school is forcing them to unlock their phones and are going through the content on the girls' phones. He said he found nothing wrong with the child taking a photo of herself in school uniform as long as it's not appropriate. My brother, it's inappropriate. What is he talking about? If it was just pictures of them standing up in their school uniform, nobody would not be making no fuss about that. But anyway, I want to get through this. Let me get through the whole article, right? The parent added that he was also dissatisfied with the fact that the school never informed parents that they would be taking away the student's phone upon their arrival or that they would be searching the contents of the phones. He also highlighted that an incident where a student in uniform inadvertently ended up being in the background of someone else's photo. And though she had nothing to do with the photo being taken, she's also my guy, you need to stop listening to your daughter and go and talk to this. Anyway, this is something I find to be really, really outrageous and inappropriate. He also questioned the teachers having access to private family photos. Suppose I was to fall asleep in a short pants and without a t-shirt on, and my daughter take pictures of me just for fun of it, or any photos of your private family moments, the staff would be going through all those images. Yes, that's exactly. Keep your shirt on in your daughter's phone. The hell wrong with you? Reiterating that the content on a child's phone should be subject to scrutiny by the parents and should not be placed in the public. All right, Dad. Dad, let me help you here, all right? And let me say that I am all for any school. I hope San Fernando boys implement this policy. Well, Zachary on a phone, right? But if they ever allow him to go with the phone, I open to Miss Solomon and them going through the phone. If it have a waiver to sign off so you could bypass the warrant, let them go through it. If they find me bareback and think somebody teaching boys school look good, if they find me bareback and think you could call me, watch your podcast. But I don't see. We as parents, right? Sometimes it's really easy to watch your child like a little angel, right? I used to watch Zachary. Sometimes when Zachary do things to get himself in trouble, I just be so shocked. I just can't be. I say, Zachary say that? At time, Zachary go and play with the children in the neighborhood. I think I tell this story here where they come and tell the mother, they say, Mommy, we don't want to play with Zachary. We don't want Zachary with us. We're going to play and we want to bring him home because he's cursing. So Stacy come and tell me, well, talk to him. I say, so I come and say, Zachary, the children in the neighborhood say you're cursing. You know, he dramatic. He say, I know this moment would come. I said, don't get all down. I want to know what you say. He think anything and he can't say it. I say what you say. Don't say no word and don't this word and no this word. He say, I say the F word. And I make him say it, because if you're cussing out, they cuss here. He said that. I say the F word. Twice. Let me not laugh because he might be listening to this, but I was so shocked. I said, but you know the F word. But even the mother this cuss, you go know that, right? But as parents, sometimes you just watch your children so innocent. And this man is backing his daughter. I understand why too, because he's saying what he's saying is true. You know, I mean, your phone is your private thing, but he think his daughter only have very first day of school in your uniform thing or little friends thing, or he lie down in the background in his shorts and he end up in the background. He think this is the issue. And in reality, in places like a school, like I always used to say when you're in school back in the day, a school like a prison, you know. Sometimes you need a little random search and to toss some cells in a prison. That's important. Because we used to find, we had on Playboy magazine and a little video VHS. We used to find them thing back in the day and had them thing. These children have phones now where they have so much more access to things. Number one, I don't know what he's talking about, checking on your child during the course of the day. Your child in school. It had nothing to check on during the course of the day. Anything that happens to your child in school, the school will call you. Or you could call the school if anything, if any issue happen. And if the school decides to take away the phones, I could possibly say, all right, are you leaving all the phones in here? And if a phone ring or any one of them things, I could always answer that and get your child. And if your phone ring, I switch off all, call the school, get the child. I know where they are. I could make a PA system and say, hey, Smalley, your father looking for you, come up here. And you head out. Those things too simple for us to make it seem as though I want to get onto my child whole day. You can't get onto your child whole day because that would suggest that your child could answer the phone or WhatsApp during class and them thing, and that we all know that not happening. Not in a good school like St. France, all right? So I think he again will pull over the eye by these children and he watching his daughter as innocent, and maybe she is. But for your own daughter's sake and for her own protection, maybe you would want to be a little more lenient and flexible on this idea of them searching phones, because when your innocent daughter in WhatsApp groups with all these other children who bad, you know, it's only your child good, the rest of the children bad like yours. When she in the group with them, you wouldn't want them to make sure that those things not circulating in the WhatsApp group, at least in the school. I also see it as like a different set of eyes, because I will tell you this, I will be honest. I say I go set parental controls and Zachary thing and I go check his tablet and all. Let me tell you something. The first day I set in parental control and I get one set of email, thing for this, a message coming up, can Zachary do this, can Zachary? I say yes to all the damn thing and them, man. Let the chips fall with it, whatever happen. It's a lot of work for us to do as parents, so I might check the tablet every now and again. Stacy will check it out now. I welcome a third party in the teacher checking it. So I don't know what, like I'm going to tell you a story about Fatima, right? We had a teacher in Fatima named Mr. Clive John. Salute to Mr. Clive John. Is Clive John his name was? Mr. John. He was different, right? Differently. He was different. He's a different kind of guy, you know what I mean? And like a part of teaching, which a lot of teachers know now, is engaging the class. But in our day, like they used to just hire teachers who's subject matter expert. I think he used to teach. What we used to teach, boy? Me no. First, I never pay attention to it. And that man used to come and say, boys, get your books open on page 42 and move the the most picture the most boring person you ever meet in your life, and that was your boy Clive back in the day. I hope I'm calling the right name, but let me tell you something. He come in a class a day, and a man bring a whole set of disappearing ink, right? I can't remember who is the fella. You know, Fatima, these fellas, they have money, little access, they traveling and things. So that's nothing you could have buy in Trinidad, no, but he buy disappearing ink. So if you write something on a piece of paper, it used to stay for a while and then it disappear. You wouldn't see nothing written no more. It's the greatest invention ever. So I remember, this is in our class named 3-4. Or 3-3 or 3. Yes, yeah, 3-4. We was in that is a bad class. 3-1 is the good fellas, and it's get progressively worse till you reach 3-4. And we in the class and we playing the fool boy. And somebody had a little disappearing ink thing and throwing it on men's shirt, right? And making joke. Right? And of course the ink disappearing and they just wet the shirt and that's it. And like they throw ink. I can't remember who it is. I want to say it's Risa, who is also a teacher in Fatima now. So my guy Reese. Listen, I wish I could get away for Fatima to play this on the PA system to understand how bad Reese was in school. I want to talk to Fatima boys how bad Reese was, but I'll save that for another episode. But I think it was recent. Somebody threw ink on Reese's shirt. And Reese was a serious man. Whoever it was one of the most serious men. They was cool and everything, but they were serious men. And that man grabbed back the ink. Now it could have been Gregory Serville too. One man grabbed back the ink and bayed back down the man with ink. Thinking he threw ink on his shirt for real. And all of we laughing because now it's our ink on everybody in the class. We just bayed down one another with ink. And it just so happened Clive John walk in the classroom and Clive John see these boys ink. That man looked petrified. I was like, oh my God. He's like mortified. He's like, you're throwing ink on each other. Look at what you're doing, ink in this boy's face. We done settled with him because man was vexed for real and wanted to fight. And we said, nah, boys, disappearing and will come off. That would just look like water. And eventually, all the things disappear. Well, this time, Clive John gone for the principal. And if it's not Mr. Moore, it's Mr. Tappin at the time. And he come back down with the principal and he's like, yes, sir, these boys are throwing ink all over each other in the classroom. And then he looking shocked when he see everybody. Because we sit down like angels now. Everybody sit down with their hand in their lap. And he said, they throw ink all over each other. These boys must have changed their shirts. They must have changed their shirts. And looking like a complete madman. The principal stoops and walk off and go. And I just want to say that, Daddy, in this situation, don't be Clive John. Don't be the man who your daughter telling you his ink and his disappearing ink. You cannot keep up with these children now. You feel you could keep up with wearing these children. You yourself will be shocked. Because I can tell you, if I was a little schoolboy in these year times with these kind of phone, I would have been asking for a little picture in uniform. I say, pull it one side. And I would have been sending a little picture in my uniform too. I would have been like Trinidad madman. So dads, just take it a little bit easy. And let these teachers and them only come together, talk to the teachers. This ain't bound to become no public thing. Or they could go to St. Francois, talk to the teachers and understand where they're coming from. When these teachers tell only when somebody's trying phone and them kind of thing, only might be a little bit surprised. Don't go and act shocked after the fact because you don't see what is happening. Don't be Clive John in this situation. Hey, Gregory, you still playing? No? Keep calm. Listen, don't be Clive John in that situation. And since we started taking the great mighty Power, let me take in another song from Power now. This song may or may not have something to do with this. Matter of fact, this song have nothing to do with this topic we're talking about, right? Because it's underage trend. I just was already playing Power, so I just continue playing Power.
From India, he was greatest Indian singer.
Yes.
Musician and dancers also, but the comedian Tun steal the show. Now I like Tun, you like Tun, I love Tun. Who ain't gonna like Tun? Long show on cultural shows always interest me. All my Indian friends meet me and say, boy, you must see Poon and Manade. Now they like Tun. I like Tun. They love Tun. Who ain't gonna like Tun?
As I said, that had nothing to do with the previous topic. Hey, let's talk about some rum now. I want to salute Marc Farrel, the founder of 10 to 1 Rum. A lot of people sent me across this interview done by CBS Saturday Morning. Well, I guess the name of the show is CBS Saturday Morning, right? On CBS Mornings. And it was an interview by Michelle Miller talking about to Marc Farrel about who is the founder of 10 to 1 Rum. Now, this story, I saw the 10 to 1 Rum around the place, right? And at some point, I'm going to get, I wonder where you find it in Trinidad, but at some point, I'm going to get a little 10 to 1 rum and do a little sipping test on this thing. Because I like local entrepreneurship, and I like things that's put Trinidad and Tobago on the map. I think it was a really good interview too, although I find like in the interview, I find like Michelle Miller wants to give the boy a 10 to 1 too, you know what I mean? It look a little bit, she was on him, boy. She ain't making joke. He jump in water, she jump into. I know if that's the effect of the 10 to 1 rum now, maybe I should stay away from it. But he's the founder of this 10 to 1 Rum, and I want to take a minute to salute it because they were talking about him and how he got into the business, why he decided on a rum, what is the meaning of the 10 to 1. So many different meanings. Of course, the first thing will come to me is 10 to 1 is murder. For most of us as Trinis. But he said the acronym for the thing is TTO, which is like a salute to Trinidad and Tobago. You know what I mean? It's like the initials of the country and all that. And he had some other reason for the name 10 to 1. Yes, I can't remember it now, but salute to him. And we go try the 10 to 1 and take some sips. But if you get a chance, go on to CBS Saturday Morning page on Facebook, or anyway, you'll see it. You can find it on YouTube. Look for Marc Farrel and it's 10 to 1 Rum. And he was an executive at Starbucks and is making rum that is globally acceptable. And it reminds me of Cyril Lawrence Dupree. That is what CL stand for. Me know what it stand for, but Dupree. Don't you remember when Dupree was taking over the world with the rums? He had some rum brands. He had Bayard Angostura, and then he had Cruiser rums. I want to say the vodka was Belvedere or something like that. He had bought some Russian company. And listen, this rum game is a very, very difficult business to be in, right? The only rum the world recognizes is Bacardi. We like to talk about El Dorado and Mount Gay and Appleton and Angostura and thing. Nobody ain't selling no volumes like Bacardi. But as somebody who was in Starbucks before, I think, having that knowledge about distribution and large format retail and spaces like that, I think you will do well, and I want to salute him, and we will try it. I also want to take a quick minute to salute Dwight Yorke, who has sent one set of wrong information about the other day. I want to clear that up. So Dwight Yorke, I know he had coached a Superstar 11 against Barcelona the other day. I think they ended up losing 2-1, which was that's respectable, you know what I mean? You coach a pull together all-star team, and he was able to hold a big squad like Barcelona down. But again, he is now a real championship manager, and he is in charge of the team. Let me get this right, because MFC Bulls. So there's Macarthur Football Club, the Bulls in Australia, and they had a little interview with him talking about him going on the club. This is News First at 10. I suppose that is their Australian news network. And they interviewed him. He went on the grounds and was checking out. They say he checked every square inch of the facility, just in an effort to get players ready, make sure they're in the right environment and things. So salute to him. It's good to see Dwight Yorke out there and with his first coaching job. If you remember, he had a big some issues before where he was talking about he wondering if it's his race, why so many other coaches who had badges just about the same time as him, like Solskjaer and them, who might even have it after him, able to get jobs in England, and he not able to get a job. But it's not England yet, and it's not Manchester United like Solskjaer would get. I don't know what make him ready for that job. But in Australia and in championships, so you have visibility and you have a chance to prove yourself. And I mean, race and all that will always be a factor in this world, at least in the world we live in now. But if you do real good and you prove yourself there, it could be hard to deny you a big job in a big league. So salute to you. I want to also salute Angus Eve, the greatest coach in national history. I want to give him that rating and he would get here. I think it's a great move to have Angus at the head of the national team. He find his way. We make a little wobble against, I'm going to say Nigeria, Nicaragua in this Nations League. But we come back strong twice against St. Vincent and against Bahamas. And I ain't getting to watch the matches because it's a real back and forth by doctor and thing. I'm not the kind of guy who misses Trinidad and Tobago games. But when I study how much step the stadium have and how again up all them sort of step with these crutches on this boot, I say, boy, let me stay home. And I never end up home when the game going on, always headed by the doctor or coming back from by the doctor. So I didn't see the games yet, but from everything that people saying, we're not looking sharp enough for the next round yet. But at least we getting results. And they're saying he ain't settled on a team yet. It look like he and Jovan Jones ain't having the greatest time together. But at least the brother getting results. I like that. If you could find a way to get the results and win, even when you ain't playing so good, it's only a matter of time before, just like the 10 to 1 rum, you find a way to start back beating side like St. Vincent and them 10 to 1. 1 is murder. 10 to 1 is murder. The tempo in that song, man. That song a big song. And I want to take a quick minute to salute all the people who get through on the cruise line. Who's the people Royal Caribbean? Nothing without a scene, right? I see they post a whole set of jobs and they say there are over 1,000 jobs available. And I'm not sure if people realize what's the environment we're in Trinidad here between COVID and recession and all these things where people would have gone home, lost their jobs, looking for betterment, glad for the opportunity to travel, like the idea of working on a cruise ship. I don't know if they expected that when you say 1,000 jobs, like only about 500 people will show up. But boy, it was mayhem as always. It's just like when we get the first set of the vaccine, maybe even worse than that, because people didn't want the vaccine. But people reach it from 3 o'clock in the morning. They do Napa, Sapa, and Tobago. They had to extend both days in Napa and Sapa, if I remember right. And then people who didn't get through went on the boat and went to Tobago to try to get through. But salute to them, man. It's an encouraging sign, right? I know people. I don't know why people is like to. People, I guess people like to get kicks. Let me say they like to find some bad to say. They like to get kicks and make joke because it's like, oh, they're running down this cruise ship walk. Or, you know, it's hard walk. Okay, all right, cool. Let the people run down cruise ship walk. So what? You know what I mean? It's not abnormal for people to be like, you're living here and you're littering. You're driving with a beer in your hand. You ain't putting on no seatbelt. I'll salute my Zachary little cousin, Jelani and JC on. Salute these little youths. I driving with them the other day. I tell the little one, JC, and buckle your seatbelt. He tell me, I in the middle, I in the back, where the buckle is. I buckle your seatbelt. We just have some slack ways that we carry on with. But you find that when we travel abroad and we go, you know, we obey the laws and we change our behaviors based on the environments that we in, all of us. So why people mustn't run away and look for betterment and, you know what I mean, make some money. The cruise ship work is not easy work. Salute to my guy Colin Dixon, who was one of the first people I know who was passionate about working. And Colin is a guy who's passionate about service generally. He genuinely is born to serve. He accepts his role as a servant, or even in his leadership roles, you could see where he here to make people happy. And just talking to him, so Colin's a man is uplift your spirits. And he working on cruise ships, and I saw him post something. I find it was so good of him to post that, saying basically, yes, this is a great opportunity to make some money, to save some money, earn foreign exchange, see a lot of countries in the world, and just open up your mind. And he was talking a lot about the amount of opportunities you get when you're on board, the amount of training you get, the fact that you might go on board as one position, but you learn other things and you're able to elevate, just like any other big company. And he said, listen, it's great. People should go for it. He said, but don't forget that you're going to have very long days, 14 and 16-hour work days. You're always on call. You might feel like you're traveling but not seeing a lot of the world because you're working all the time. And that was a nice little thing for him to post, just to make people aware of what is happening. Although I'm sure all those people who are successful will go through the orientation and so on, because Colin was also mentioning some things like your first aid thing, and you had to be able to swim for a certain amount of distance and all that. I remember back in the day, they used to, when I used to go Benny's swimming pool, I think that was in Shops of Marval, I believe it was. And they used to have people who were flight attendants, they used to call them back in the day, come in and do their swimming course and stuff. Apparently, some of those same things that you have to do and maintain that level of fitness to be able to be on a cruise ship. But salute to them, man. I like to see people hopeful. It's good to see youths. I saw some performers as well, like Noelle Archer, who I follow, who's a great singer, or what is called vocalist. And she was out there documenting her time her long time spent in the lines, being there from 3 o'clock, the whole thing. So I hope she get through and she go out there. I remember meeting one guy in St. Lucia. I was on vacation with my father in St. Lucia at the time. And we weren't on the cruise ship. We were just in St. Lucia, right? But we went to the place where all the cruise ships dock, because there's like a little place, souvenirs and all that we could get. And we bounced up a fellow who used to play pan and thing. And when we meet the fellow, the man is like, boy, this cruise ship work, you know what I mean? He worked in cruise ship for how much years and thing. But he was singing like he unhappy. So we was like, boy, what happened? He said, boy, like, I fed up with this work, boy. I'm looking to leave this work. This is my last. I ain't doing this no more. And he's thinking, listen, you're on a cruise ship. This is the greatest job in the world. As a youth, I'm thinking that. But that man say, he say, boy, it's song, sir, but he say you're on board there and you're playing pan. He says he's only play for about 3 hours, twice a week. He can't leave the boat. So every time they dock somewhere, he come off and he go on tours, he see places, but now he end up on the same route so often and thing, and he's saving money and thing, and he's like, he's not doing it no more. So as with any other job, I'm sure it have its ups and its downs, but with everything that happening in the economy here, I hope that people get through and people, I hope that more opportunities like this come. I don't know how that works. Like, why would they come to Trinidad to interview so many people? Why they don't just take applications online? Because when you hear from them, it seems as though they just take people information anyway and had to call them and follow up. Like, a lot of that could have been done virtually. I'm not sure why they would need to do it in person, but whatever the reason is, I'm glad to have a bunch of people who get through, and I hope every couple months it could have something like this to absorb some of the unemployment and give some youths some opportunities. Sometimes we watching these school fights, we watching these situations with these girls in St. Francois, as is the situation with any school child is in a little pictures in the uniform. And sometimes all they need is a different horizon, a different image of life, a different vision for what life could be. We underestimate sometimes how limited some people's worlds are, where they're just living in an area and the whole area is their existence. They meet a boyfriend in the area, they're with that fella, everything that happening in that area, they see as the whole world. And they may not have the wherewithal to be able to travel or to get exposed. But if they do, think of how much your travel shape your own education. And I ain't talking about just traveling abroad, but traveling within the country. I always talk about how my mother and them going to carry us Granville and Guaya and things and Tobago. And sometimes we down there for a week, 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Getting to know people. And it just gives you a broader perspective on life. And it makes you realize in a funny roundabout way that even though people ain't like you and they're laughing at you and they're bullying you, they have other ways to get around things like that than to walk with a kitchen knife to school and so on. So sometimes you just need a little broader horizon. So I hope that more initiatives like this cruise ship come, where people could get work outside of the regular type of work that we would typically look for on a day-to-day, and just make life a little easier for people, man. All right, before we get out here, I want to play a song about some education, right? I don't know if there's a song I played before, but there's a song I want to leave you with. But I promise you a little piece of my favorite power song, and I can't find it, so I got to give you a little thing. Man dead in Maraval. If you see Bacchanal, a man dead in Maraval. If you see Bacchanal, Lucy husband dead, you see. So people sympathizing with she. They have a girlfriend they call she Mimi. Hold on to Lucy and break away. Don't cry Lucy, man dead already. You used to have you locked up inside whole day. Now you could go out and make your play. Don't cry Lucy, man dead already. I don't know why all you do this like me, Mimi. If a man gone, a man dead. Don't cry Lucy, man dead already. Don't cry Lucy, man dead already. Yes. Loose, let me get this line. I want to tell you this long time. While you want that same disease, could I never live in peace? He had a woman they called Thelma, and so they used to give you pressure. So stop your crying and carrying on. You should be glad that the old bull dead and gone. Don't cry, Lucy, man dead already. Don't cry, Lucy, man dead already. I don't know why all you do just like me, Mimi. If a man gonna Monday, don't cry Lucy, man dead already. Don't cry Lucy, man dead already. It's good advice. Loose girl, if me was you, listen what I woulda do. The man that leave house and land, and you is a young woman. Man go see and running wild, thinking they could catch a child. When they feel in love with them is all the money you have to spend. Don't cry Lucy, man dead already. Man go want what you have, and if they can't pay for it, let them starve. Don't cry Lucy, man dead already. I don't know why all you do just like me, Mimi. If a man gonna Monday, don't cry Lucy, man dead already. That's as close as it go get in great mighty power. So let Trinidad man have a little respect for mighty power now. When you're remixing song and thing, don't carry it all the way in the gutter now. One of the great ones, great lyricists. You know, you see how we take a song and make it into something. Trinidad man, do that for we now. Help you out. I want to play one before I go and cock up my foot. My foot won't resting. That is Sparrow somehow fit in the episode with the 10-1, right? So we'll stick them. And here, Sparrow Dan is the man in the van.
tractor on board. Examine the horns. According to the education you get when you're small, you will grow up with true ambition and respect from one and all. But in my days in school,
Yes. They teach me like a fool.
the things they teach me I should be a block-headed mule. They tell me pussy has finished his work long ago, and now he resting and ting.
Yes.
Solomon Gandhi was born on a Monday. The ass and the lion's den. Winking, blinking, and nod. Sail off in a wooden sloop. The goody losey tail and the alligator fighting to make monkey liver soup.
And what?
And Dan is the man in the van. The poems and the lessons they write and send from England impress me. They were trying to cultivate comedians. Comic books made more sense. You know it is fictitious without pretense. Cartridge wanted to keep us in ignorance. Tell me if this ain't your business.
Yes.
Humpy Dumpy sat on a wall.
Humpty Dumpty didn't fall.
Goosey, goosey, gander.
Where shall I wander?
Ding dong dell.
Pussy in the well.
R-I-K-K-I-T-I-K-K-I-T-I-V-I.
Ricky ticky 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 tabby. Dan is the man in the van.
I said Cartridge was plenty times more advanced than them scientists. I am believed that no one man could write so much stupidness. Aeroplanes didn't come so soon. Scientists used to make the grading balloon. Cartridge make a cow jump over the moon. And then he tell them, Tom, Tom, the piper's son, thief a pig and away he ran. Once there was a woman who lived in a shoe.
She had so many children, she didn't know what to do.
Dickory, a dickory duck. The mouse ran up the clock. The lion and the mouse, a woman pushing a cow to eat grass on top of a house. Mama Dan is the man in the van. Hey! Let's see, Mama. How I happen to get some education, my friends, me and all they teach me is about bear, rabbit, and Rumpelstiltskin. They wanted to keep me down indeed. They tried their best but didn't succeed. You see, my head was down to see and up to now I can't read. Who cares about Peter? Peter was a pumpkin eater. Some little people tie Gulliver. When I was sick and lay abed, I had 2 pillows at my head. The goose lay the golden egg. The spider catch a fly. Morocco with wings flapping in the sky. They beat me like a dog to learn that in school. If my head was right, I would have be a damn fool. With Dan is the man in the van. Can a pig dance a jig for a pig? Twirly and twisty were 2 screws. Mr. Mike goes to school on a bike.
How again?
Dan is the man in the van.
Dan is the man in the van. Dan is the man in the van. You know, we had to go back to the days where people just used to go to school and play and enjoy themselves, you know, because school is a place you're supposed to form yourself and enjoy your thing, make a little relationship, little love. And don't make the love, just find the love. Don't make the love in school. But you know what I mean? You make that little crush on a little thing, on a little date, on a little, you know what I mean? This sort of thing where it's a big battle in school. What happened to school days like these?
to school. Mommy, stay home and to cool. I want you to understand, I need an education. I want to learn to be fun, be a Californian. But what I really love the best,
Yes.
I want to be in school in time for recess. Lang-a-lang-a-lang-a-lang-a-lang, bell ringing, oh Lord. Lang-a-lang-a-lang-a-lang, school children running so wild in this International Year of the Child. Mommy, I have to go to school. Mommy, I want to learn the rules. To become a great athlete, to stand on my own 2 feet, I could learn to brush my teeth, just like on Sesame Street. But what I love in school the most as man,
Yes.
is to stay with teacher Beulah in detention. Lang-a-lang-a-lang-a-lang, the bell ringing, oh Lord. Lang-a-lang-a-lang-a-lang, school children running so wild
In this International Year of the Child. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, I go and talk to Oli next week. I go and pop my foot. Make sure I good in these streets. You see this sort of heavy pain, I can't take it. But I really hope that we could get back to some kind of thing where these children could just go to school and enjoy their time in school and enjoy one another. Who think with stabbing and parents have to beat children and thing. I hope Gregory Isaac's right. And eventually, as they socialize more, they get out of this kind of behavior and just go back to being children. But I going to talk to Oli next week. Salute to all the fathers who listen to this. Happy Father's Day. Make sure they get you something nice. We will come together and protest next week if we can get a nice thing for the Father's Day, right? Happy Corpus Christi. I hope Corpus Christi is one of them plant something. I feel like I had that wrong. But all right, plant something if it's Corpus Christi you're supposed to plant for. And enjoy the extra long weekend in Trinidad. I see everybody getting their Father's Day gift on Wednesday from the office because they know all the wicked fathers and coming to work on Friday. And Friday is not a holiday for the record. But enjoy the long weekend. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.